Good afternoon. This is your BTV News, broadcasting live from Gaborone. My name is Kylo Sabon and I'm with Olivile Ukatusa on sign language. Now, the preparatory meetings for the Non-Aligned Movement Summit underway in Uganda. And Botswana continue to register for the upcoming elections in large numbers. While in sports, Botswana Football Association and the Botswana Football League urge to get their house in order. I'm with Kilibonyo Mabitsengokatusa on sign language. Dumelang. Residents of the Dikgawana village have been advised to venture into agripreneurship as there are still opportunities within the industry. Addressing a Khotla meeting in the village recently, the Member of Parliament for Matete Mulapabujang, Dr. Edwin Dikoloti, shared that growing the agriculture sector would go a long way in addressing some of the country's challenges, such as unemployment and high import bill. Pearl Pudhudu.
For most communities in rural areas, agriculture is the main economic activity. Therefore, Dr. Dikoloti says it is high time that farmers now consider plowing higher quality crops with high yields. He cited that crops such as sunflower and moringa are worth pursuing as game changers in the country's agricultural landscape.
Ke kgang ya temothuo ya kgwebo agripreneurship kwa seo se buega mo Matete Mulapabujang. Agripreneurship temothuo ya kgwebo ra le moringa di tswa moringeng ga di kana ka sepe go di temo go mahura kana ga gona sepe sa moringa se se latlhiwang le ha o batla go atolosa o tsenya mo dijong tsa leruo o di kotla di seng kanang ka sepe sa ratang ka moringa go se ke gore ha o ka tsa tsone di seedlings tsa moringa o di lema mo tshimong o botsa o tsamaya tshimo wa go ha o tsoko ya go timelela o itlhala le ditlhare o ipotsa gore ditlhare tse ke di hiano le moringa do tsere le tsa gore le di bope le di diragatse.
Residents appreciated some of the developments in the village.
Re be re tsena mo gore re lebogele clinic ya rona batsadi. Clinic ya rona e ntse e ntšhahadiwa e phepahadiwa e pentwa e irwa e bankangwa difenstere. Lwa e bona le lona ha lo tsena ha le gore go ntle jang ha clinicing. Mme hala monga me ga go a lekana. Re shota ka matlunyana re gore ka ne re ha balwetsi ba gateletswe be ba bewa gone ho gore a kgone go tlamelwa ho a sa rallo yana ke batho ka gore ha le ho ra moralla re ntse re tlhatlhojwa jana mme be go sa nne sentle.
Re tlhokana le gore re emele kganya ya ofisi ya boipelego ka dinao ka gore mo waiting list ya batsadi ba ba tshwantseng gore ba sesiwe ofisi ya me ya ga maboipelego e tletse dipalo-palo jaanong ke sone se nne maloba re ntse re ntsha tshutiso ya gore re kopa maboipelego wa bobedi o ka thusa maboipelego o teng gampieno.
Youth-owned companies were urged to register with the Department of Roads as funds have been set aside for the construction of internal roads in the constituency. Pearl Pudhudu, BTV News, Dikgawana.
Now, preparatory meetings for the Non-Allied Movement Summit have begun in Uganda to draw an agenda for the heads of states who will converge on Friday. And according to the acting permanent secretary at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Reclifford Maribe, President Masisi is scheduled to attend the twin summits, which include the G77 plus China and Kampala, which will seek resolutions to the current global challenges, such as the escalating war between Israel and Palestine, as well as the reforms of the United Nations Security Council, amongst others.
Hundreds of delegates and several heads of state are expected here in Kampala this week to attend the 19th Non-Aligned Summit, coming 63 years since the formation of this 120-member body. Preparatory meetings that will draw the agenda for the heads of state began yesterday and will culminate into the Friday summit. President Masisi will join his peers on Friday to add Botswana's voice to propose solutions needed to heal the world's growing pains.
It's a useful platform as it provides us with the opportunity to meet with other countries, discuss and take positions on global challenges that we find around the world. Global challenges, you look at issues of peace and security, where peace and security are threatened, and we can come together as countries around the world to discuss and come up with solutions or resolutions to those issues of peace and security. There are challenges that, like the reform of the United Nations Security Council, for example. As you know, currently there is a big problem unfolding in the Middle East, where regrettably the Security Council cannot take a position.
Botswana joined the Non-Aligned Movement in 1970, an organization that was formed in the backdrop of the Cold War, where member states rejected alignment in a bipolar world of the time that pitted the East and the Western blocs. The principles of this movement resonated with what has become Botswana's renowned foreign policy of non-interference and peaceful solutions to conflict.
Our foreign policy is anchored on multilateralism. We have to work with other countries, to open opportunities for trade. We have talked, or His Excellency has come up with the reset agenda. As you know, we talk a lot about value addition. Value addition, at the end of the day, is about producing goods and services, adding value to our natural resources so that we can have goods and services that we have to export to other countries to generate that revenue that we use to develop our country. So when you come to meetings like this as a president, you meet other presidents who you can sit around the table with and build those friendships that are necessary to maintain trade relations with other countries that we need. So these are some of the things that we have the president traveling abroad to do. We need friends to trade with. We need friends to get foreign direct investment from, and these are the benefits that come to Botswana.
On Sunday, President Masisi will join the heads of state for the G77 plus China summit, where the focus will once again be the development challenges of the member states and the contentious rallying cry for developing nations for the reformation of the world financing architecture.
Today's meeting, for example, will be discussing a lot, we expect, on the Palestinian issue, what is happening as we speak in that Israel-Gaza war. We hope that, at the end of the meeting, there will be a common position as to what needs to be done to resolve this unfortunate and unfolding situation in the Middle East.
The historic back-to-back hosting of the twin summits will end on Monday. Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni will take over the chairmanship of the Non-Aligned Movement for the next 3 years from Azerbaijan. Kifilo Mokazani, BTV News, Kampala, Uganda.
And the Member of Parliament for Tlokweng, Retulagano Sekgokgo, said the completion of the long-awaited 2019 Masama Water Project will help ease shortage of water for the Letlapeng ward in Tlokweng. Sekgokgo said this during a consultative meeting yesterday, where he also shared different developmental plans with the residents.
The 781 million Pula Masama project will transmit 64 million cubic meters of water from Masama to the Mamashia water treatment plant for ultimate distribution to the greater Gaborone area, which includes Tlokweng. The Letlapeng ward is one of those hit by severe water shortages in Tlokweng, but now that will soon be a thing of the past.
Project ya Masama e waits. Maybe like le soloetsa gape gore ka February parliament e tsena ya go dira molao kana gare aba madi wa biwa ka molao. It's a bill ya go parliamenteng ile a bill molao mongwe le mongwe tla ile bill no wana molao o ke a la ra gompieno o tla be o ntshitse madi a go tsenya metsi.
Residents also hailed the construction of the recreation park, which they say will be of great benefit.
gore tota recreational park e wela ka ko kae. A ke VDC, a ke council, a ke ko bogosing.
Ka lo fueranwa ke kompone. Mme kompone e thapetswe di captain, e na le di pro, e na le se tla be di treasurer, e na le captain. Gore me a e yon a yo ranwa ke council kgotsa ke VDC ka gore e na council ka.
Currently we understand gore that recreational facility ya ge tsone mo ngwe ya le malehelo a council ka wena madi a puso jaanong go tshwanetse gone gore ga re tla re nnahatse re tla ka tsele e leng gore e tla kgona go manager kana le batho ba ene gore ba tle ba tsamaisa go hale ke ba ene gore bana le bokgoni ba go tsamaisa recreational park eo jaanong sentse re buisana mme tla re ga re wela le one ke tsela gore le one tebe e wela e be re ka itse gore ka le kudisa morae ke tsela gona le diputego tse dingwe tse leng gore re tla re di tshwara towards the end of February le March ke tsela gore by then re re na le karabo e tsepameng ya gore ya go tsamaiswa ka tseleng tse ja re sone go ba re buisana le di-stakeholder tse di maleba le rona re le council batlotlegi ba sone go e tsela go nna le seabe sa bone.
The residents were applauded for their active participation and cooperation with different stakeholders to bring developments to Tlokweng. Geletlelezwe Somulekai, BTV News, Tlokweng.
The IEC Secretary, Re Jefferson Siamisang, said that Botswana continue to register to vote in large numbers for the upcoming general elections. Re Siamisang said in all of the 61 constituencies in Botswana, only 5 are left behind with voter registration.
205,723. Mo di kgaolong top ka di constituency tse di 61 tse di hitela mo lehatsheng la Botswana. Go tsweletse sente mme hela rena le di constituency di kana 5 maitso tse leng gore dipalo tsa bona ke bo 1.8 bo 1.9 go hitela mo nako ya gompieno. Di constituency di tshwana le bo ya Chobe, bo Maun West, bo Francistown East, Mogodisane East le Takatokwane. Ke tsone tse leng gore la ga ba se thoba simotse go daga dipalo tse di botoka mme hela ga re bua re soboka dipalo tsa bona di santse di le go tlase. Ya go kgaolong thopo e tshwana le ya Good Hope Matete e kile be bidwa go ke a barolonka ke yona e di ga isenso te gane motho a ka dirisa magoko a ntse jalo ka gore mona kwa gompieno kana last week Friday bana ba tsamaya ka 7,715 kgaolo thopo e tshwana ya Nkange Batswana ba emekana maitsho ba ikwadisetsa mo around 7.5 di constituencies di tshwana le ya Tsopon North ya Tsopon South ya Bobirwa ya Gamalete ya go Phalape tota bo Mahalape so thela jana dipolo di a itumedisa hela thata.
The Chief Education Officer at the Northwest Regional Education Office, Reki Kgodile Muhudinga, says his region is overwhelmed with the ever-growing number of students, compelling them to increase the number of classes despite having limited resources. During an interview with BTV News in Maung, Muhudinga said that schools at all levels have been affected. Maranyane Samakata.
Maung being the hub of tourism and the administrative center for Ngamiland district, it is bound to attract large numbers of people who relocate for various reasons. The rise in population brings along an equally high population of students, which has left the regional education office overwhelmed.
JSS, 350 at most, relevant capacity at school. Me gompieno re tsamaya ka 500 plus maitlamo le sone on average ga re taditse bana to capacity so tshwanetse re at most se be se le mo go 400 me gompieno re tsamaya ka 470.
Schools say parents are to blame for some of the challenges.
Batsadi ba kgona go batla go tisa bana ba bantsha mo dikolong tse dingwe like motho a tswa mo sekolong se sengwe la ele le tshwara thebele ha motsadi a ba fila gore a tise bana ka kwano more especially ga go ka nna le maduo a go godimo mo sekolo so they keep on moving around ja ka gompieno botswello e phefomile go heta dikolo tsa Maung tsote o ithela le gore batsadi yana ba fila gore ba simolola go ntsha bana ba bone go bo so goma dikolo tse le gore ne di ntse di performa nako yote ga re bula be ba tala gone ha
ma-teachera ba ile gore ba bereka mo ditlaseng mo class to produce classes for form ones ba sa tswa gore advise gore we also need an extra class or two supa gore re hitile dipalo e ne ile gore ga ba di dira roughly bana ba go nna 39 mo classeng mo le nngwe and we met and re bo re bua gore gore maybe gore we need to move from 11 classes tse le gore re ntse re di tlwaetse to 12 or 13 so le ka bona gore dipalo di go godimo.
However, schools are determined to accommodate all students against all odds.
Teachers are willing gore ha ba tswetse konte gongwe ba ka tswedisa ba le konte ga eta go be re emiswa ke fanishara so ha ba tsena konte yana gape ga gona fanishara e leng gore ka ra tswetse konte ba re mi ha re ke se ka le sene gongwe tse peding ka gona go di phusha ke le konte o ithela le gore yana go morahela gore a chaise a tsamaye and this thing gore at the end of the day ha gona go cover the objectives at that day. At the end of the term, we are going to cover the objectives because of this. So that is the greatest challenge that we are facing. Me, really, though
parents have been advised to make arrangements for their children well in time to avoid congestions at schools every year. Maranyane Samakata, BTV News, Maung.
And that brings us to the end of our news bulletin at this hour. Let's have a look at sports now. This is in Context Sports update brought to you by Tato Khosimre. Thank you for joining us and good afternoon. Our top story. The Minister of Youth, Agenda, Sports and Culture, Tumiso Rakare, has applauded Dinaledi Football Academy Director Ariel Ralebala and his chairman Godfrey Ratlaga for the great work they have done in putting up a world-class footballing facility in Odim, saying it will go a long way in developing football in Botswana. Katao Khakole.
Minister Rakari went on to applaud the good work done by the two in OD, saying they should be recognized as the facility has a potential to produce world-class players who can play their trade outside the country, something that will contribute to the performance of the national team at the world stage.
Hoping and our wish is that this academy ehole in netuna e khone gore ka moso some of the players ba tswang gone ha ba bonala mo di-teaming tsa rona tsa youth, the national teams segolo bogolo jang, your under 15, your under 17, your under 20 and under 23.
For his part, Dinaledi Football Academy Director Ariel Ralebala says they saw it fit to set up the facility to make a living from it, as well as to contribute to football development in Botswana. He further pleaded with the sports leadership to give them the much-needed support so that they achieve their intended goal of improving the standard of football locally.
I would not be able to go anywhere without all of us, you guys being the stakeholders. So totani rekopa as and when tutwezo ya bogori gore banne ba relibile because ha gongwe ke palwa ke go bitsa sport ke re motshameko ka gore I just think it's ha ke itse re ne go ka batwa le ho go le fende go ka tweng le ne le ka ranola sport gore e ska na motshameko Mr. Minister, Honorable, because I think the mindset ya rona e ganela hela go re sport ke go atshamekiwa, you know, but I think we need to take ourselves seriously.
Rera Lebala, le Remafuta and others, by the way they are saying, we want to make a contribution mo football nya Botswana. Mere batla go bona phetogo mo football nya Botswana. And these are the people that we need. These are the people that we need because they are breaking barriers. They are saying, go inyatsa mo ga rona mo ntsong go le mo go rona. Ako re itseng gore dio tse re ka di dira ndi ka dira ke rona re le Batswana. And I hope other teams will follow suit, especially the so-called big teams.
Dinaledi Football Academy started operating in 2022, and the hope is that the facility will go a long way in developing football and producing world-class talent on home soil. Katlaho Kakwele, BTV Sport, OD.
Still in local football news, Minister of Youth, Gender, Sports and Culture, Tumiswa Rakgare, as the Botswana Football Association and Botswana Football League to get their house in order as the current sequence of events can tarnish the local football and sports in general. Rakgare highlighted that yesterday in Odi at Dinaledi Football Academy, reminding the two parties of the importance of a proper management of football as it is virtually in attracting sponsors and developing the sport locally. The BFA and BFL saga saw the Premier League and the National First Division League being put on ice.
We really need to do something about where you see letters flying left, right, and center every single day. This has to stop. You know, I think about 2 months or so into Tiruerle Mohone. When the BFA said, Minister Rekopa uri thusekana, Ronali Diemoha, Kanzama Keto, Rakolo Taing, and that meeting, Unoala Telokiwa BTC, where we called BTC to say, Kana we are playing a league. Ace number 2. Minere kope hore totela re tlhaloganya gore go ira galai. And you see exactly what is happening in our football right now. Ke gone mo go kubile mo BTC. You see where we are right now, where we have our women doing extremely well without a sponsor. The private sector is scared to commit funds into our football because of what is happening currently. And this is lawlessness. Go itaola, go nyatsa Batswana. Ke gone go mo go iragala ranching guy. BFA ya lona la itaola le nyatsa Batswana. And you better stop this. Because you have voted into these seats to protect interests of football.
Zibanani Batungamili won the men's 10-kilometer race in the ongoing cross-country series in Kopon, finishing a time of 31 minutes 7 seconds, while Kitsiso Joseph won the ladies category in a time of 38 minutes 58 seconds. Ulifile Kuwarilo of UB Athletics Club came second in the men's 10-kilometer race after clocking a time of 31 minutes 18 seconds, with Sesebo Matlapeng finishing third. In the ladies category, Maitumelo Rotsokois of BDF Athletics Club came second in a time of 39 minutes 46 seconds, while Kifilo Khali settled for third position.
Cross country the weather was fine. To allow we category the juniors, the youth. The youth are very under 18, and then the juniors under 20, over 20. The junior di tabaga bo mme ba tabaga 4 kilometers, and then basimane tota di youth ba nyana ba tabaga 4 kilometers, and then basima tabaga 6 kilometers. The junior ba tabaga bo mme ba tabaga 6, basima ba tabaga 8, and then the senior tsotlhe di tabaga 10 kilometers.
Now crossing borders to West Africa, Africa Cup of Nations defending champions Senegal opened their campaign with a resounding 3-0 victory over Gambia in a Group C encounter at a match played at Charles Okonan Bani Stadium at Yamoussoukro in Ivory Coast.
In a match that proved to be highly competitive from the onset, it was Senegal who managed to get the upper hand, taking the lead 4 minutes into the game through Pape Gueye's goal. A goal that ended the first half, giving the defending champions an advantage going into the second half. In the second half, Lions of Teranga extended their lead as Lamine Camara hit the back of the net twice, his first coming in 52nd minute before scoring the second in the 86th minute. In other Group G matches played last night, Cameroon shared the points with Guinea, while in Group D, 1990 and 2019 champion Algeria finished 1-1 draw against Angola. AFCON group stage competition continued this evening. In Group D, Burkina Faso takes on Mauritania, Tunisia battles Namibia at 7 p.m, while South Africa face Mali at 10 p.m.
With that said, we come to the end of our In Context Sports update. Remember, hashtag mindset change, hashtag register to vote. Good afternoon.
The L'Oréal Foundation is awarding and celebrating women in science for the last 25 years. The reason for it, women scientists were made invisible for as long as science exists. Their discoveries and contributions were hindered, silenced,